And good afternoon, everybody. Good evening. Good morning. Warp 103 bringing another video and podcast. This time here, we're doing it on Twitch, and of course, we'll be broadcasting this over the airwaves. So hopefully, everybody sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This time here, we're dealing with a family member that has dementia. Okay. Now, as I already told you before, so that I've talked about almost all the members of my family, so that, immediate family that have issues. One member I didn't really do too much coverage about is my mother-in-law. And the simple fact is, it wasn't my story to tell, even though I dealt with it every day and had to live with it. So, this is something that we've been dealing with for about 2.5 years, almost 3 years. Okay. Now, late 2017, my mother-in-law was living in Georgia, and we got a call down here from my wife's brother saying that, well, she's in the hospital. Okay. So we're trying to find out what's going on and everything else like that, and they put her in because basically she onset of dementia came on very suddenly, meaning that she couldn't even go to the bathroom herself. She was peeing in the middle of the floor. She was, throwing tantrums, all types of things. So they put her in the hospital, thinking, okay, well, it's probably this, malnutrition and everything else. So that since it came on so suddenly, that, okay. So my wife hustled her butt up to Georgia, left me with the kids to deal with for that, which is fine. And she went up there to find out, what's going on, to make sure that her mother was getting the best care, along with her brother and her daughter-in-law. Now, the other side of the family already has issues. They have John, which is the brother, my wife's brother, so that has health issues. His wife has health issues, and they have a daughter that has major health issues. So they couldn't care for her. I mean, they didn't have the space. You never really have the facilities to do that. So my wife called him from Georgia. Look, this is what's going on. How would you feel about if my mom comes and live with us, and we take care of her the best we can? Now, being a good husband I am and everything else, so that I'm like, that's no problem. It's going to be some stresses out the yin yang that you're going to have to deal with. But right now she's mobile. She was able to walk around. She did know her name. She knew where she was at. She was talkative. Everything was, you really, when she first came down here, you really couldn't tell that something was wrong. Because again, after the hospital stay, they gave her fluids and everything else, but they already put on the paperwork that, she's not allowed to drive anymore. She's not allowed to do, she can work, but only in certain spaces, somebody supervising her and everything else. So her mental faculties were that of she lost the ability to be independent. She couldn't live on her own. She couldn't be living in a house and be able to say, okay, well, I can take care of everything on my own. She couldn't do that. So at first it was, no big deal. So that, okay, I would wake her up in the morning, or my wife would wake her up in the morning. So, okay, Mom, it's time for you to get up. She would get up, get dressed, everything else like that. Come sit on the couch. You can have a conversation with her. She ate. She fix her food. She can go outside the kitchen and say, okay, this is what I want to eat. Everything was there. To the most part. Just at times you would see her lapse. Stuff would just not be right. She would just fuzz out. The best way for me to call it. So, for the first year, it wasn't really a chore or a burden. I mean, it was an inconvenience, of course, because again, we only have so many bedrooms. So my son gave up his room, and he bunked with his brother, and we built, I built a. He already had a bed inside it, and I built a bunk bed so he can be on the top bunk and everything else of that, and they share a closet. So mom basically got our Kim's room. She had his bed, and we got dresser. We got a big screen TV to put inside there, because at night she like to have the TV on to be able to converse, not conversate, but it kept her company. She always had the TV on. Light was always on in the room and everything else like that, but she had to have the shades closed because she didn't want any sunlight in, which was odd, because you need sunlight. So, and my wife would take her to work with her and everything else like that, to get her out the house, for her to have something to do. She was able to earn money and everything else like that, and all the money that she earned was for her any medicine she needed, anything she got, and my wife would take her to the doctor for doctor visits. She was talkative. She would be able to, help with her own care, be able to say, okay, well, this is what's going on with, this is what hurts, this is wasn't hurt. Now, some of the pictures you're looking at right now, so that again, you can see her. We were able to take her out to restaurants, and everything else, so that she wasn't in the wheel, because she was walking around, everything was gravy. Not gravy, but you get my point. That was the first year. The second year, it started to go down, where she became combative. Now, it was like, okay, we tried different medicines that was on, so there were different prescriptions, because she started swinging at the kids. Basically, my middle daughter and her didn't get along at all. Even to this day, my middle daughter doesn't like her at all. And that was stemming from her swinging at the kids and everything else. So you had to okay, mom, stop, don't do that. They don't like that, and because she was swinging at them for no reason. But we was managing the medication that she was on. It's okay, that medication's not working. We'd have to keep constantly going back and forth to the doctor. And I mind you now, we didn't have medical for her. So everything that we were doing was basically being paid out of pocket. So literally, it's like that. It was. It's not just because how medicines are for dementia. These medicines you have to pay for out of your pocket. So we got a discount plan card, to help defer some of the costs of the medication. But you still have, again, you have to pay for doctor visits. You have to pay for physical therapy. You have to pay for them to look at her glasses. Blood pressure medicine. She had problems with the sugar, so literally she had a lot of things wrong, a lot of medication that my wife would have to juggle and I have to juggle to get it done. Okay, well, what happened is my wife would set the medication up for the week. Again, this is year 2. Set the medication up for the week, for the day and for the night, and morning time, if my wife didn't give her the medication, she would text me and said, okay, I forgot to give her the medication today. She was running off to work. If her mom was home, give her her medication, fix her breakfast, fix her lunch. And when wife gets home, she'd fix dinner, everything else like that. Basically, so it was like you just had an extra member of the family. But slowly after a point, she stopped eating. So they had to, for a while, it was like, okay, we had to find things that she would literally eat. She wouldn't eat most things we would cook. So for a while, we had to literally buy Chinese food. I forgot the name of it right now. Sesame chicken. Sesame chicken was like the only thing that she would eat for a while. And then it would roll to something else that she would eat for a while. So you basically had to roll with the punches of getting her food to eat so she can keep up with the food. And then, of course, we bought insures. We had like boxes of insures, but she didn't like this type of insure. She liked that insure. So we had to get insure and things like that to sustain her, and plus we got her different drink mixes, to make sure that her electrolytes and everything else, so that was where it needed to be. But you can see slowly, each day by day, the decline was happening in her mental faculties, worse and worse. She went from being near normal to not so normal, not eating. Then we got her to eat again and everything else. So that they had to prescribe medication to make her hungry, basically. And would ask, okay, what you want to eat for that, and she'll tell us. She was still able to tell us what she wanted to eat. And then for the last year or so, it really got bad, because at that point she stopped having the ability to communicate. She wouldn't form any sentences. The only sentences she would form is when she interacted with my middle child, because again, they didn't like each other. So when my middle child comes through, she would make different comments and everything else of that. And the comments she would make were hurtful to my middle child, and my middle child didn't like that. And that made the relationship even more sour than what it was. So now this is the end of the second year going into the third year. So that was contentious, because I have to try to play referee, tell my daughter, okay, you got to remember she's not, but it doesn't matter. Kids don't understand, or nor should they have to understand, when a parenting figure all of a sudden loses their mind and, start calling you out names that they shouldn't call you out of. That caused tension with, of course, my wife, because my wife would get mad when she would pick on Shuggy get mad and talk to me about it and get quiet. So it was a mess, but that's the mother-in-law. So you have to do everything you can for a person that, a loved one, you have to sacrifice. We weren't saying, okay, no, we're going to put her in a home. Literally, we were like, okay, we're going to do everything we can until the point we cannot do anymore, to keep her safe, comfortable, fed, medicated the way she needed to be, But as you see from the pictures in front of you, if you're able to view it live and stuff like that on Twitch, or if you're seeing it on YouTube, you can see the slow decline. Now, at a certain point, she was not able to even get up to go to the bathroom by herself. So at that point, once you can't go to the bathroom steadily, because used to be before, it was like, okay, we take her to the bathroom. And again, I'm a guy, my wife worked, I can't take her. I can take her to the bathroom area and say, Mom, use the bathroom. Again, she still had a point where she was still be able to use the bathroom by herself. Then it came to a point where she couldn't do that anymore. So then from there, we had to use pull-ups. Again, now we're paying for this stuff out of pocket. Pull-ups, we're paying for out of pocket. Wipes, we're paying for out of pocket. It's like having a baby again. Only thing, the cost is actually way, way more than that. Because diapers are, one price, but pull-ups for an adult are super expensive. And then you not just the pull-ups, you also have to have the pads that go into the pull-ups, because of course the pull-ups are only made for if you're an adult and you have incontinent issues, meaning that you can't you know enough you need to go to the bathroom and you can't make it there in time, or you have leakage and by the time you get to the bathroom, it's so that you leak some, but the rest of the stuff you go to the bathroom like normal. But when you can't do that, you have to use pads inside of it like a baby, and the pads soak up most of the moisture for that. Then from there, you have to try to get in the shower. We had it's a seat that you would put one half of it is inside the tub, one half of it is outside the tub. Again, something that we bought that she sits down on. You hold on to her, and then you slide the seat across from one side, and you slide her in to the inside of the tub. Because again, we had a standard tub. We don't have one of the ones where the thing, it's like a door in it where you can walk in and walk out. So that, again, because our house was not set up for a person that would have that kind of issue. So that was good for a while. We can again, have her sit down, go across, she get a shower, wheel her back. Now again, this is my wife doing this. I can't because I'm a guy, but what I can do is so that I can, or the kids can bring the towels, bring the stuff needed to anything she needs, go get the soap out her room or go get the shampoo, whatever, and so that to bring to the shower.
Clothes,
get her clothes, pull-ups, pajama pants, slippers, all the things that, again, my wife is handling the shower part, and we're bringing all the stuff to her, so while she's in the bathroom she can get her redressed and everything else of that, and come out and join the rest of the family. So that worked for a while, a good while today, because it was like, okay, well, this is still working. We don't have to, it's harder on my wife's back, but it's still working. Then it got to the point where that wasn't even available to us because she couldn't walk far enough from her room, which is up front. The bathroom, you literally to go to the bathroom in our house, you have to walk from where her room was through the living room, kitchen, back room, and then the bathroom is off to one side.
Skip the dining room.
Sorry, forgot the dining room. You had to go. Sorry, so it's living room. Well, okay, her room, walkway, living room, dining room, kitchen, the back room, and then into the bathroom. Now the bathroom actually connects on both sides. It's like a Jack and Jill one. It can connect from our bedroom or from the back room, but one side is blocked off, so you have to go the long way around. Now, since this is an older house built in the 1920s and 30s and 40s with retrofits, you still have. There's no way for you to use a wheelchair throughout the house. The wheelchair, you would be able to use it in the walkway. You'd be able to use it in the dining room. You'd be able to use it into the living room, into the dining room. But the doorway for the kitchen and the doorway for the back room are the smaller type doors. It doesn't have the standard 36-inch doors. They're only 32-inch doors, so that the doors are smaller than that, because again, it was an older house. So you would only get her part way, and then you would have to have her walk the rest of the way. But she wouldn't walk. Literally, I've had it where I'm holding her from behind to get her to get a shower. I'm holding her from behind. My wife is holding her hands up front, and we're trying to walk her, but she's leaning back, trying to resist us making her go forward. So you're hurting my back, hurting my wife's back, everything else like that to get her to the shower. But we still try to do that as much as possible until it got to the point where that at some point you were like, okay, my wife was like, no, this is not working. We can't do that. So my wife decided, okay, well, what we'll do is, since most of the stuff is already in the room for the things, except for the wipes, my wife got rubber gloves, got there's special sponges and everything else that to give an adult a bird bath. It's the same thing you would do in a hospital. If you're in a hospital, so there's special sponges for them to wash you down and everything else like that. So she would literally wash her down in the room, clean her off and everything else, change her everything that she had on, put new clothes on her, bring her back into the living room for the rest of the day and for that. And then from there we'd walk her back, my wife would or I would, back and forth. Now, wife has to go to work and everything else. So what this thing would happen is, my wife in the morning would get her up. This is after she got to the point where she wasn't walking good. She was getting thinner and everything else like that. So my wife would basically wrestle her, again, walk behind her or walk in front of her, pulling her like this, like that, to make her swing back and forth, to make her hips move, to walk to the couch for her to sit down. And my wife would leave for work. Then it's my job for the rest of the day till mom gets home. My wife always said mom, till she gets home, to take care of her, and that would consist of all of the kids trying our best to keep up with her. So again, she wasn't talking at this point, so we wouldn't know what she wanted. She would grunt or always hitting on something. Literally, she would tap so much from anxiety that, everything was tap, tap, tap. She would never stop tapping throughout the whole day. But we'd make food for her. My wife, before she would leave, would always have food for her maids like that so she can eat it while she's getting dressed herself. So when she walked out the door, she know her mother ate in the morning. I'm up right afterwards, and so that, within an hour, and the kids are already up. So at that point, I have to basically turn. Now, my computer, as you see me facing right now, is directly in front of me, but I would have to turn my head towards the couch, which is at a 90 degree from where my computer is, and basically watch her most of the day, even though I would turn back and forth between doing schoolwork with the kids. So while I'm doing schoolwork with the kids, I'm bouncing between computer to computer, or I'll have one of the kids sitting next to me while we're doing schoolwork on my computer, and then I'm always glancing over my shoulder to see if she's okay, that she's not choking, she's not having anything she's not supposed to, or anything else like that. So at that point, she was still fine. She had body control. To the most part, she would stay upright, but she would just be beating on everything. Then within the last 6 months, she basically lost, I'll call it body control, because then she would just lean over like this, and then within 15 minutes, she'll be leaned over to the side, one side or the other, and she'll be just laying there. So again, every 15 minutes or so, I got to get up, pull her back up to the upright position, and again, we had I can't think of the name of the pillows, so that basically this is the pillows that you would use if you have, even though it's a couch, you have if you're in a wheelchair, so you won't have sores on your butt and everything else. So that it's an ergonomic pillow, so that has a covering on it, so if she's wet or anything else, so that it wouldn't soak her through to the couch. But she lost the ability to have, control over her swaying back and forth. So at that point, we got the pillows with the handles to them. That it's like a back pillow, but it has handles on both sides to keep you in the upright position, so you won't lean that way or that way. But you still, after a period of time from home, body weight would start to lean over one way or the other. It just took longer for that to happen. Okay. So at that point, again, now this is me every day wrenching her at that point, it was not every 15 minutes, but it would be every half hour, pulling her back to the upright position. So that way she doesn't hurt her hip one way or the other. She won't have sores, everything else like that. So throughout the day, it's me wrestling her back and forth, and that's basically how I started tearing up my back and my shoulder again. Then when my wife get home, or if I tell her, so that, okay, moving her, sometimes I have to physically pick her all the way up, have the kids readjust the pillow behind her while I having her upright, so that way we can sit her back down, and so she can sit right. But all the time, this time, is she's not really there. If you ask her a question, you get no response, or you'll get a she'll be laughing and grinning at stuff that you're like, what's she laughing and grinning about? Or if she's not, again, she's still doing the tapping on every surface she would tap on. But that wear and tear on my back and on my wife's back started to get to a point. Now, again, we're like, okay, Mom, it's time to stand up. She gives no assistance to stand up, and actually she would actively try to pull away from you or lean back to the point where if you had let her go, she would have fall back and crack her skull open, because she's shifting her weight to the back. She would literally, you see how it's like person that's, if you're doing the closest analogy I can think of is if you're doing tug of war and you're pulling on the rope and you get her upright and she's leaning back like she's pulling on the rope to go in the opposite direction. So you have to pull her up to a point where you can grab her back and again lead her from the couch to the room, to the walkway into a room for her to get changed. So during most of the day, it's me picking her up, moving her from side to side, to try to get her back situated so she's not hurting herself, have bed sores. When my wife gets home, she's picking her up, not picking her up, but leaning her up, well, still picking her up regardless, marching her back into the room, changing her, bringing her back out here to sit back down again so she can eat and everything else of that. And then before my wife goes to bed at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, she would do the same routine. Lift her back up, take her into the room, get her bathed, get her changed, the night thing, put her in the bed and everything else of that to lay down to go to sleep. Now, for a while, she was literally falling out of bed. So I made a rail system that once she's in bed, she cannot fall out of bed. But many of nights I've come in, again, since I don't sleep well and everything else to that, I check on all the kids and everything else before bed. Her legs are off the bed, cocked to the side like she's trying to get off the bed, but since she has no upper body control, she's contorted. So basically I have to lift her back onto the bed, her lower half, push her back onto the bed, cover her back up, and then go about my business. Now I don't want to wake my wife up to let her know so that she's halfway out of bed and everything else. So I would just do this until 3 o'clock in the morning, and then at that point, or 3, sometimes 4 o'clock, to the point where I'm so tired that I'm like, okay, it's finally time for me to go to sleep, and praying that she's actually went to sleep so she can stay at bed. Now, of course, they gave her medicine for her to sleep, but the problem with the medicine to make her sleep is that in the morning time, if my wife gave her the medicine to make her sleep throughout the night, in the morning time it makes it that she wouldn't get up. So it's like a catch-22. You're trying to get the medication right so it'll put her to sleep, but if it's wrong, she can't get up in the morning. But if you don't give her the medicine to put her to sleep, then she's up most of the night just tapping around in the room. It's like that, trying to get up on her own. It's like that, and halfway hanging out the bed. Okay, so this goes on for, again, the end part of 2019. And you can see my wife is breaking herself. Her back is hurting her. Her shoulders are hurting her. Her legs are hurting her. My back is wrecked. We've already discussed this, so that, and I had other projects I need to do. So there's nothing outside I can do, because literally I can't leave out the door and expect the kids to watch their grandmother, because again, they're young. They're kids. They're not trained physicians. They're not trained anything. They're not babysitters for an adult, so that they don't have the strength to lift her up and put her back in the right position. So basically nothing was getting done. I would be able to leave out the room for a bit to try to help out clean something or cook something and everything else like that, but by the time I get back in the room, she's flopped over one way, flopped over the other way, and so that. And again, we don't want her to flop forward and basically hit her head. So this was going on for a good while. And we filled out for the appropriate things for the assistance with SSI and everything else like that. And they're slow as hell. Pop cookies and popcorn. Nope, don't have cookies and popcorn. So they're slow. They it takes a while for any agency to get you assistance and everything else of that. So literally, she's bringing me the cookies. My daughter. Wow, really? Nope. So they give a while to get assistance for you, so we can get some assistance to help her, get some therapy or anything else of that. And it's like, what? So after a period of time, at the beginning of this year here, it got to the point where we were struggling, and I mean struggling, to take care of her. We're trying to keep up with her meds. We're trying to keep up with the doctor things. We're trying to keep up with the cleaning of her body. We're trying to keep up with, again, medications to keep any spots off her, so that shaving her face, combing her hair. It's a it's a long process to do, and you can see in the pictures that she was getting frailer and frailer. All right, good. Go right ahead. So, I want to take just a couple of seconds, break, because I need a little bit of water. Actually, can you give me a bit of water, please? My cup is... I don't know what my cup is. Just give me any cup back there for water, please. Because my throat's a little dry, and, there's a little bit of stuff you can want to do. Just give me a second, so that a little bit parse, just let it, thinking about what's going on. Hey, thank you.
You haven't touched on a signature move, though. The pointing finger, whole signature move.
Okay. So you're at the point of, what do you do? You've hit your limit on what you physically can do. As a guy, my limits was farther than hers, but I can't, change her. That's not my mother. That's my mother-in-law. So there's parts and areas that I don't want to see, even though I've seen parts that I burned into my eyeballs. I'm like, didn't want to see that, trying to help out with different things. But you get to a point where you cannot do. You have to make that tough decision on what you need to do next. Now, that decision came a week ago. She had stopped eating again. She was being unresponsive. So my wife was like, okay, if she's like this again tomorrow, we're going to take her to the ER to see, what's wrong. Because again, she was drinking water and everything else like that, but she wasn't having any pass through in her pull up or anything else like that. So my wife was very concerned. She said, okay, this has been a day and I haven't seen anything, even though she's been drinking stuff. Time to take her to the hospital. Okay, so she took her to the hospital in Ormond, and the doctor said she has a URI infection, a bad one. We need to keep her overnight to, get the infection in bay, medications and everything else of that. So my wife comes home and you can see the worry, the drain, as if she did something wrong, which is, again, she didn't do anything wrong. She's been doing everything possible for her mother. So again, you can see that my wife is drained. She stayed there with her as long as she possibly could, came home, got some food, went back out again, stayed with her for a while until the hospital said, okay, you gotta go. She came back home, and of course, the next day she has to work. So, of course, early in the morning, she gets up, goes out to the hospital again before work, goes to work, come back to the hospital, after work and for that. So for the 3 days, and they were like, okay, you need to, the hospital's like, okay, you really need to make a decision because she's not responding well. She is not, basically the hospital's like, how are you able to cope with her, considering that these are fully trained nurses and doctors that, their job is to take care of patients and everything else like that. We're just family members, your mother and father, so that how do you deal with that? And the doctor was like, said, well, I think it's time for you to think about, put her in hospice, because at this point here, you cannot take care of her. And of course, my wife told me about it, and I'm like, well, if the doctor feels that that's the best thing for her to do, because literally, we thought she was going to be there for a day or two and then be back home. And since that didn't happen, it's like that. And after speaking with the doctor, it was that time to say, okay, well, it's time for her to be put in hospice. Now, that's a decision that you have to agonize about because, and I have to deal with the repercussions of the decision because that's my wife's decision. It's not my decision. It's not my kid's decision. It's her decision and her brother's decision. What is the best care for her? Now, again, there's no way for us to get her cleared and take her back for her to go to John's because, again, he has his own child that's dealing with conditions and they have their own. Now, again, would this have happened, would she have been back home already if 2 weeks ago my back basically locked up? I couldn't move. Everybody that's been watching me on regular streams, so that when I stream my World of Tanks and everything else would know, so that I couldn't, the pain going down my back and down my right leg was so intense. It's like that literally I was on everything to be able to sit down in my chair because the pain was just excruciating. So did that play a role? Now I have to look at myself. Did that play a role in my wife's decision that's saying, okay, she know part of that was my back getting wrecked from dealing with her on a daily basis. She's looking at the fact that it was wrecking her back and her shoulder dealing with her on a daily basis. And my mother-in-law was basically combative with the staff at the hospital because, again, the staff at the hospital is trying to do the best they can for her. Of course, they have to bathe her, change her, and everything else. And she's combative with the staff. So basically the staff, so the doctor discussed with my wife. My wife was like, okay, what do you think I should do? Babe, whatever decision that you make, I will support. Then she's asked me again, what do you think I should do? And I'm like, I really can't answer that because right now I'm in no position to actually help you with your mother. Even though I was still helping her the best I could, the kids were seeing me in pain, trying to, when she shifted over, and I'm like, okay, I'm half crippled, going to her, shifting her back into place. And my wife was like, well, okay, I sent her pictures. She's like, you could have left her there for at least a while longer, so you wouldn't have to get up as much to hurt your back to try to get that done. But again, I wanted to make sure that I was doing the best care that I can do for my mother-in-law, because I don't want my wife to think or ever think that I didn't care. You get to that point though that you have to make that decision. You have to make that call. You have to say, no, we can't care for her anymore. That's going to be will be like the hardest decision of your lives when you have to say that for a family member. Now, if my back, and again, my back is still not in a great condition. Again, I have the super big thing of Tylenol right here. I'm still on muscle relaxants for my back, that I have to take and everything else to that. I'm still on anti-inflammatories for my back. So I think that probably, made a decision like, okay, well, my husband can't care for it throughout the day. Throughout the night, I can't care for her the way I need to. So that, it's not fair to the kids, to have to keep dealing with the situation. It's a whole lot of factors that come in that, you have to think about when you're doing this. This is a family with 5 kids. What did we sacrifice money-wise, everything else-wise, to make sure that she was taken care of with, again, medical, dental, hair, things, pads, the devices to move her in and out of the shower, wheelchair, all these other things that you're paying for out of pocket, which you have no help for. You have to ask yourself, did you do everything that you possibly could? Now, a lot of people is like, I know a lot of family members that as soon as the person starts having dementia, that family members don't care. They're like, okay, well, we just put them in a home and be done with it. That's not my wife, and I compliment her on that. And it hasn't been easy. It's been a serious toll on our marriage. Because she's tired all the time, I'm tired all the time. We're irritable to each other about, issues and things like that. It takes a toll on the family, just like it takes a toll on my daughters to that. But I know my middle daughter's like, she doesn't have good feelings for her. Now, let's just put it that way. My youngest boy, and he's the person that's like, everything just rolls off his back. We call him the happy child. When he's starting to get to the point where he's being frustrated and he's starting to dislike, grandma being here and everything, so that you're starting to get to the point where it's not really a decision anymore. It's really no choice, because you have to look at your other family members as well as what's best for her, what's best for the kids. So you have to make that call. You have to finally say, so that and my wife made the call. She's like, okay, well, I can't take care of her anymore. Not especially when she's being combative and everything else of that. So this week, my wife finally decided to put her in. Again, she never came home from the hospital. She's still in the hospital right now. They're going to transfer her to hospice. I think tomorrow, or the day after tomorrow. But that doesn't mean that the story's over, because I know my wife. My wife is going to be there, all the time and everything. So that you're okay, making sure, because the facility that she's going to be at is close enough that we can visit every day, or at least every other day. So that it depends on work schedule and everything else. That my son will be able to get his room back. You won't have to bunk with his brother. Because again, he's a teenager. He's bunking with his brother and stuff, and he's making it hard for his brother because he likes to sleep with a fan. His brother doesn't like the fan on. The brother doesn't the light situation. So you got two not incompatible, but you got two people that are basically they're two separate people. They like their own space. So he's my son will get his room back. The clothes situation, because they're keeping their room clean, because again, since you have two boys combined in a smaller space with the amount of clothes they had, it was just rough. That should get better. I have no idea money wise what this would do, because I have no idea what we have to pay out of pocket. I have no idea, just like we're just saying, to transfer her, so that we have to pay money for the hospital to transfer her from the hospital to the facility. But that's not set in stone how much that is. We finally got to the point where they're actually pending on Medicare, Medicaid. I don't know what the whatever the part of the government is going to be dealing with it is. And plus now she's old enough for SSIs for that, so they're finally getting on that. So any checks that we finally got that situated literally a month ago, and this now they're actually going to put her in, things. So all the money that she would ever get would go there to help pay for her care. But we still don't have to know idea what out of pocket we'll have to pay for anything else like that. Will the emotional thing be? Of course, because now you have to visit in the facility. Now you have to worry about, is the facility taking care of her the way they should. When she was here, we love her. Wife loves us. So that we're there. He was always worrying about what's best interest for her. But at the facility, they're not going to have that. They don't love her. They don't. For them, she's just a patient. So you're hoping that the facility is good. You're hoping the facility is a great facility. Now, it just happened to be my mother-in-law used to work for this facility years ago as a home health aide. So when she worked for them, she thought the facility was great. So now that she's going to be living at the facility, hopefully the facility is still great. And hopefully that, everything will work out well. And she would have many more years to come, and my wife can go visit her, and some of the kids that feel like would go visit her, because 3 of the kids were going with my wife all the time to visit the kids. Now, again, Shuggy even went. Shuggy doesn't like her grandmother and like that, but she still went to visit her, So that's the story. Where does the story end? We don't know. Hopefully she'll get better. They better monitor her medication more closely. They may be able to change the medication or put her on medication that, since we're not, we didn't have the funds for some type of special medication that she need, they might be able to find, medication that she need that will be more effective than we can afford for that. Or because again, the doctor's always going to look at what you can afford for the medicine to what can work best. So if she's in a facility, maybe they can get on some better medication, and that medication will help her, and maybe she can come back sometime or other. I don't know, but that's the story. It's one of those things that you have to know for your person, that it could be your wife, it can be your sister, it can be your brother, it can be whatever family member you have and everything else. That you have to think about this. You are going to get old. If you didn't take care of your wife, mother, brother, or what have you, would someone do the same for you? That's the hope. The hope is that you lived your life correctly. You did everything you could so that when your time comes, you're not just thrown in a home and just forgotten about. You have to be cognizant of what goes around comes around. I'm going to turn 50 at the end of this year. I'll be 50 years old. I need to start looking after my health a little better, because like I said, my back wrecked the way it is, Linda, that's not good. What happens if I become incapacitated from my back and I can't walk around and everything else? What happens then? Am I going to be a burden to my kids? Will someone put me in a home? These are things you have to think about. These are things that you definitely want to be on point on, because if you've been the person that basically give everybody crap all your lives and everything else, that will they come to your rescue when in your time in need? My wife, I have to congratulate her. I think she's wonderful for taking care of her mother. That's 3 years of time that, we know that she was in a loving environment. Before that, she was with her brother, living for I think it's about a year before that. But at that point, she was still, she was living with her brother, but living with her son, my wife's brother. But she was still fully intact, fully formed, and everything else like that. Could this have been caused from her not taking bipolar medication that she should have been on? Since, again, my wife's on it, my daughter's on it, this thing's running the family. Would this have starved it off if she was taking the medication that she was supposed to, even though she said, "Nah, I don't need medication"? No one knows. It's probably, from what we're told, yeah. But again, so all the niggas saying is like that: be kind, be nice, be grateful for what you have. Try your best to help out others, because your time is going to come. Your time may not be in this situation here. You might just break a leg and you need someone's help for a short period of time. Will you have that support? Is the question. Well, that's all I have for you guys right now. I will give you updates as soon as I have it. I know I was supposed to be doing part 2 of the last series from last month, but since this came up this week, I wanted to put this out there. Again, I spoke a little bit about it before and everything else, but I didn't go full in depth. But now you know exactly the situation with the mother-in-law, so that so that's it. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to look us up on Twitter. You can look us up on, of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're watching it on Twitch, leave a comment, leave a follow, YouTube, sub, so you can get more information about stuff like this. But that's all we have. So this is Warp on the Street saying, warp out, have fun, live life, and we'll catch you on the next one.